Our theme this month is alignment. And my topic today is be still to know. Be still to know. That song is another song from the Hebrew text in the scriptures, from the Psalms, Psalm 46:10. And the Psalms are really about life. They're about the nitty-gritty guts of it, like the good, the bad, the ugly, the all of it. And they are the inspiration for so many gospel songs in particular. But this idea of be still to know. I want to first talk about that word, know. Because there's all kind of ways that we can know. This is not strictly an intellectual or a cognitive understanding. That's not what this know is. This know is a relational know. It's an experiential know. This is a know at the deep level and the core of all of your senses. This word know in Hebrew is also used for the word intercourse. And he knew her in a biblical way. It's to say that something happens at this level of intimacy. That once you reach this level of intimacy, you can't be the same. You know, I can know. I'm thinking now of a story we used to tell in ministerial school about this young minister who's at the top of his class, and he has his first assignment, and he's brilliant, and he does a whole treatise on the 23rd Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," one of the most popular psalms. And everybody's nice, and at the end of the service, there was an older gentleman, never been to seminary, one of the old deacons of the church. He'd been around forever. And he does the 23rd Psalm, and there's not a dry eye in the house. And this upset this young whippersnapper a little bit. And he confronted it. He says, you know, I was brilliant. You know, but they cried, what was that about? And he said, you know the song, I know the shepherd. You know the song, I know the shepherd. To be still and know. To be still and know that I'm God. I wasn't going to go here, but something says go here. In the Genesis story, there's two creation stories, and the story that's about in the garden. And it's gotten a lot of bad rap with a lot of bad interpretation. But there are two trees that are in the east, which is the inner realm. One is the tree of life, and the other is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's this know. You can do anything you want to in this garden. Don't go near that particular tree. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The tree where if you eat that fruit, then your whole sense of what's right and wrong and good and bad is just going to come from you. From your sensory perception, from your relationship, from your experience, the duality tree, the us versus them, and and that was the commandment. If there were such a thing as an original sin, it's not the disobedience, but the fact that you keep eating from that tree. Because it has a natural consequence to it. The scripture doesn't say God's going to kill you if you eat this tree. It comes with a consequence. That if you eat of that tree, you will perish. Not like physically die, but you'll wither. Your spirit, your sense of well-being, don't go near there. Don't let your life be built upon that. Stick to the tree of life, baby. Stick to the tree of life. Don't get caught up in the stuff of this world. And that's why we ain't in the garden. Because we keep eating off that tree. And if you're going to know something, don't know that. Don't get your knowledge from that. Go to the tree of life. In the King James Version, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." If you look at it, though, it's italic, which means that the sentence structure was remade to fit English. It isn't a conceptual thing, be still and know that I am God. If you were to look at it more linguistically, it would be still and know I. Be still and know me. Not something about me. Not that I am. Be still and know me as the Elohim. Be still and know me as the creator of your soul, of everything. But you gotta be still. You have to be still. When we are consumed by the outer world, it eclipses what we know. We get caught up in the drama, the trauma, the whatever is the crisis du jour, whatever is happening in that moment, and we lose our sense of centeredness. You are never going to find yourself chasing the stuff of the world. It's not going to happen. Now, you can choose to be still, or you can be knocked flat on your butt. You can go willingly, or you can get the 2x4. But at some point, you will be still. Listen to what I'm saying. Even if it's no more than just paralyzed, emotionally and whatnot, because you are just so overwhelmed that you can't even take another step. Drama's optional. I figured out years ago, I'm going to wind up on my knees anyway. I might as well start there. Beat the rush. Some of us don't go there until we have exhausted everything. All of our resources, all of our knowledge, all of our plans, all of our whatever, and then it's spirit as last resort. Why don't you make it first choice? Make it first choice. Be still and know. This is not an intellectual thing. It's like any of the spiritual qualities. You can talk about love, you can read about love, but you'll never know love till you love. You'll never know forgiveness till you forgive. You'll never know it until you're in it. Are you with me? We're chasing after something that is with us always. The presence of the divine is everywhere. everywhere at all times. It cannot be divided up. There's not more of it over here and less of it over there. There's not more God at the Himalayas than there is in the gutter. You get to choose where you know God. Some places are just a little more scenic. But the God that you find in your drunken stupor is no less powerful than the God that you find after years in an ashram. It's the same. We just get to choose how bad it is before we decide to be still. I get this image sometimes about that notion of hitting the bottom. It's a phrase that we use sometimes in addiction and recovery. And I think most of you know what that concept of the bottom is. That you have to get to the point where you actually admit you're not as smart as you think you are, and alone you don't have enough to really handle it. Your best thinking got you here. And that bottom is a place of surrender. That bottom is the place of turnaround. That bottom is the place of the openness and the receptivity, where you get out of denial, you quit lying, you quit hiding, you take stock and inventory and realize, I need help. I'm tired of fronting, I'm tired of pretending, and I'm in the law of diminishing returns, where all my drugs of choice and all the things that I have turned to for comfort, stability, security, no, they're not working. They are exhausted, and I got to do something else. That's the bottom. Okay? Now, we often say there's no place else to go, but where? Up, once you hit the bottom. Nobody can make you bottom. Have you ever tried to make somebody bottom? Have you ever tried to convince somebody that they don't need to go any lower? Have you ever tried to convince somebody that they could turn their life around right now? That there was more possibility and more stuff? How did it work? How did it work? Everybody has to arrive there at their own conclusion, yes? Well, what I finally figured out is because everything's on a continuum, yeah? The bottom doesn't have a bottom any more than the top has a top. You can stretch that bottom out as long as you want to, because there's always just a little worse off. I'm reminded now of a story. I know I've told it a lot of times, but it was just so telling. It was back when I lived in LA. It was my early days as a religious science practitioner. And this brother was arguing with me about there wasn't a God, and that all of us that had faith and whatnot, you know, we were just tripping and, you know, blah, 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 you know, story. So he was an active intravenous drug user. Wasn't that a nice way of saying it? Wasn't that nice? So he's shooting up all the time. And I told him one day, I said, you know what? For somebody that swears you don't have any faith and that there's no God, you got more faith than I ever would. And he's like, what? What? I said, I looked her dead in the face. I said, you really believe that you can shoot up, pass out for 3 days, wake up, and somehow or another do all of this? Well, it was another word, but basically BS again. You really believe that? You can shoot up, pass out for 3 days, wake up, to do it all over again. I ain't got that much faith. I'm afraid I'm gonna die. So whatever that is that you think while you sleep, the Lord that keepeth thee, that while you're asleep, that something's gonna restore you so you can keep doing this bottom thing, I call that God. Now, I don't know what you call it, but you sure are betting your life on it. And that's a lot of faith. Be still. I can't say how important it is. Every spiritual tradition, every culture will teach the same thing. I don't care whether you're Islam or Buddhist or everybody. You go out to your vision quest. You face your demons. You have to go someplace deep within. Don't judge by the appearances because it's Maya, because it's illusion. Like whatever that is, they all are teaching the same thing. And where we are now in the 21st century is unprecedented. In all of human history, there has never been the bombardment of information, stimuli, and energy. Our whole nervous system, our cognitive reasoning patterns aren't even equipped to handle the degree to which we are bombarded. Which means we have to be even more deliberate. We have to be even more direct. That we consciously unplug. That we consciously give ourselves an opportunity to just listen. We're looking for answers, but we're not quiet enough to hear them. We're looking for answers and we just keep chasing. And chasing and chasing and chasing. But there's a communion that happens. And I don't care how you get there. I don't. You can rattle chicken bones for all I care. You can get there through meditation, prayer, gardening, dancing, art, cooking. I don't care. But whatever that is that lifts you up outside of yourself so that you are able to behold and sense the majesty of the universe and yourself as a part of it. Look at the stars, the moon, the sun. Feel the breeze on your face. Go to some water. Sit before a flower or a tree. I don't care what happened, how you get there, but each of us needs those places of inspiration that remind us. And you don't have to be someplace in particular. You don't need a lot of props. You don't have to have your incense. And this is just on my nerves. And I think it's me. There we go. I was told to screw it in and I didn't. I'm sorry. This is really good. So when you listen to it, I apologize for the pops. No, normally my flankers, I just stand there like a little kid, like buttoning up. They screw me. They screw. Ooh, that didn't sound right. You know what? I'm just go back to what I was talking about. The be still and know, but hey, well, I already told you what that could mean too, so I'm just in it. You have to give yourself time to be in a relationship. This isn't a task. It isn't just, okay, I'm going to set my little alarm, 2 minutes, I'm going to be still, boom, and I'm back to all the worrying. There's a relationship so that this becomes your primary relationship. So in that midnight hour, when stuff seems to be going wrong, even when stuff seems to be going right, because somehow or other we get all big with ourselves and forget. But this is something that you cultivate, and you cultivate on a daily basis. I hear so many people say, well, how can I do this? With all the stuff that's going on in the White House and global warming and all that. You know what? Baby, it's a choice. It's that bottom. When are you going to decide that my life is not going to be run by the vibration of the world, that I'm in it but not of it? That's your choice. I don't care what's happened to you. I don't care how bad it's been. I don't care all the stuff that you were going through. Right where you are, you can make that choice. Right where you are. Nothing has to change. Nobody has to stop. There's no, some kind of hero that needs to come in and save you from the circumstance before you take the time to be still and know. Until you do that, you'll never know your power. You'll be trying to get some kind of institutional power or legislative power or somebody else's kind of power. But your power is in the stillness, baby. Your power is in the stillness. It's in the single-mindedness of your focus. So even in the midst of a busy day, even in the midst of a meeting, you can steal away. Even in the midst of the drama or a conflict, even in the midst of the argument, you can say, you know what? I'm going to the hills. Like we just sang about, I will lift up mine eyes to the hills. I say all the time, there are at least two sides to every story, and then what? There's the truth. It's not in your side or their side. It's in that transcendent place if you're willing to go there. Yes? Be still and know. That's why this is part of alignment this month. You can't get into alignment if there's no part of you that's willing to be still and know. There's someone in the room who I hadn't seen in a very long time. Very, 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 very fond of him, one of my colleagues. And we hooked up last night at the Barrios Unidos event, and I was so happy to see him. And I want to invite him up here for a moment. Arnulfo, will you please come up here? This is Arnulfo Garcia. This gets scary. So, when we were talking last night, Arnulfo, you mentioned the fact that you had been doing yoga for the last few years. And I had introduced you to somebody, and he asked you, well, what did that do for you? Can you tell us about what you told him about that yoga?
First of all, I want to thank Deborah for inviting me here today. And it's a pleasure to be here and be in our church for the first time because we got a long history together. But I started doing yoga about 4.5 years ago, and at first I looked at yoga as a place where it's like, I looked at it like a cult. You know, I looked at it as something different, you know, because I didn't know nothing about it. But I started practicing it, and what I realized is that it helped me to center myself. It helped me to center who the person that I was and who I became. And it didn't happen overnight. You know, it took time. You know, I want to go back to what she was talking about, those 2 trees, right? Because I was a guy, how many of you like eating an apple? It's sweet. Apple tastes really sweet, you know? That's who I was, you know. I took a bite of that apple and it was sweet, and I kept doing things that wasn't sweet, you know. So when we talk about yoga, we talk about, you know, how you want to focus and bring your life back to the person that you were created to be. You know, and when I was born as an innocent child, right? And when she talked about how we start doing things to our body, you know, I started doing that at a young age, and I couldn't find myself. So yoga has been a blessing for me. It's helped me to guide me through a lot of things in my life, especially to bring me to where I am at today.
Tell them where you learned the yoga.
So 5 weeks ago, I was sitting in a cell in San Quentin State Prison. And that's where I was for the last 18 years. And I met Reverend Deborah at a prison. And it's the first time I heard her preach in a sermon or talk to people about the things that she's talking about. I mean, she's very skilled. I found that out inside the prison. But the work that she's doing inside the prisons is very powerful, because there's a lot of men inside a prison that want to change. But there's a lot of people out here that don't want to see these people change. And the reason why they don't want to see them change is because the California prison budget today is $11.3 billion. And you, the taxpayer, are paying that money. But what is going on inside those prisons is horrible. Now, she talked about those 2 trees. I decided to look at the other tree, the spirit, you know. And when we go back to the yoga, you know, yoga helped me to find my way to do a lot of better things. And this was my 4th time in prison. And the last time I went to prison, I was arrested in Mexico. And Mexico is where I changed my life. I had a child for the first time, and it made me realize that the child that I was when I was born, now I was looking at my child. And I didn't want to do nothing to harm her. I didn't want to do anything to take me away from her. So I decided that I wanted to be a part of the other tree. The real Arnulfo, the real person. So for the last 18 years, that's what I did. I rehabilitated myself. I made those choices. And it was Deborah that when we met, it was about 13 years.
It's probably longer than that, maybe 15.
Yeah, we talked about, she came into the prison, we were talking about this program, and her and Russell were very instrumental in helping us put this program together. And here we are, I think on 11.
I think this is, we're in Impact 11 now. What he's referring to, he's being much too modest. Arnulfo is one of our original at Pleasant Valley State Prison. He is part of that original crew with Kaylin Hadley and Paul Ingen, whom you've seen here. And the whole prison program that we do, he's one of the founders of it with us, that we organized. We organized that together. He was one of our leads. He was one of our facilitators. We came in on their dream, on their design. Soak it in, my brother.
I want to add to the impact program because the impact program covers a lot of different segments, especially recovery. But I moved from Pleasant Valley to San Quentin State Prison after several years there, and I was a little apprehensive, to go to San Quentin because you hear about all the violence and different things that are going on, death row, guys in the reception center, and guys are coming in with 100, 200 years, and people just don't care. They don't have nowhere to return to. So a lot of these men don't have a voice. So I decided while I was at Pleasant Valley to start writing about my life because I wanted to know who I was. And Deborah and Russell were very instrumental in helping me with paper and pen. And when I got to San Quentin, a lot of the men there knew that I liked to write. So what they did is they asked me, they said, hey, well, we're going to give you a job, in a print shop, as a clerk, so you can have a computer, so that you can type all your stories. So you can write all these stories. That's all right. Fine. That sounds great. The only thing is, I didn't even know how to turn a computer on. But I learned to operate that computer, and I learned to use the computer to write my stories. And while I was at San Quentin, I became the editor-in-chief for the San Quentin newspaper.
He restored, this was an acclaimed newspaper that had been dormant for a while. So he took it back up. Tell them what your circulation is now.
So our circulation now is, we print 30,000 newspapers a month. The newspaper goes into Congress, it goes into the Senate, it goes into the district attorney's office, it goes into the police chief's office, it goes into anybody in public official that want to hear our voice. So we became the voice for the voiceless. For those that want to tell their story, like I've always wanted to tell my story, but nobody wanted to listen to me. So when I got that pen and I realized how powerful it was, to make an impact on other people's lives, I ran with it. It was the best.
So you're gonna remember this name, Arnulfo Garcia, okay? He got it going on. I can't believe it. He sits there and he says, you know what? I was making 35 cents an hour. We do slave labor in prison. And explaining how they just hired a grant writer for $75,000 a year. Yes, and all of the things that he has going and all of the press and everybody who's just waiting to put him on the air and his story and his own book to get published. He's got about 6 weeks before he's completely done. And I know that this man is going places. Okay? You hear me take all of the time. Just do it. Don't worry about where you are. Have a dream. Have a vision. He kept giving us his writings, just handwriting. He knew he had to write. He was a writer. I had no idea I was going to meet him again. I had no idea he was out till last night. Anything is possible. Anything. And so he got into that system young. I didn't know your whole story. Tell him how many years you've done total.
35 years.
How old are you?
65. A new tree.
Something's off. Yes. He said he went to juvie 18 times for running away. Maybe it's just me. But if a kid runs away 18 times, surely we can be more creative than jail. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I will never forget what you told me last night. You said, but you had to learn that it wasn't about your father. That you had to assume responsibility for your own behavior and your own actions. And we had the deep conversation about forgiveness last night. And you realized then you had your freedom.
So one of the things that she teaches in one of the classes about forgiveness, you know, and a lot of times we harbor feelings and blame other people for the mistakes that we make in our lives. When you realize that it's the choices that you make, that you don't have no right to blame nobody else for the wrong that you do. So I had to be accountable for what I did in my life, and when I stopped blaming other people, it was like a ton of bricks just fell off of me, and I became a new man. Right? There's a part in the Bible in Ephesians 4:23. It talks about the old man and the new man. That old man was really corrupt. He was wrong. He was sinful. He did a lot of harm to a lot of people. I was sent to prison for 4 life sentences for breaking into somebody's home under California 3-strike law. And the reason why I'm out here today is because of the supporters and the people that support me financially, attorneys, and my case was overturned in the courts. So I did 18 years, and I wasn't supposed to go to court until 2052. But that's what our criminal justice system is today. So today, I'm an active advocate for prison reform. And who better to understand what goes on inside that prison than us?
Amen. Yes. So he's out, and like all of the other ones, committed, not running away from there, but saying, let's transform this baby.
We're going to do it together.
Amen. These are my teachers. These are my teachers.
I'll say one last thing. If you want to see my work, go to sanquinnews.com and you'll see what I write about. Thank you.
Yeah. I want you to stay up here with me for a moment. We're going to pray. We're going to pray, and I'm feeling old school here. That song, "Be Still and Know," it's just ringing in me. Can we just start singing that? Be still and know wherever you are. And we're going to turn this into what we call an altar call, which means that anybody in need of a prayer, you can come on up. You can stay where you are, but if you're in need of a prayer, come on up. As we turn within in this moment, I'm knowing that my God is an awesome God. I'm knowing that our God is the keeper of our souls, a forgiving God, and that no matter what it is that we do, no matter what it is that we do, that we are still sons and daughters of the Most High. Like the prodigal son, we can just come to ourselves and go home. And the light's always on. We are never turned away. I just thank God that my bottom is so much higher than it used to be. In this moment right now, we say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for keeping watch with us in the midnight hour. Thank you for being our spiritual GPS system. that guides us every step of the way, tells us when we're lost and when to turn around. Thank you for providing for every need. Healing in the body temple, financial affairs, reconciliation of conflict, restoration of all kinds. We say thank you. Thank you. I speak a word of peace. Peace be still all over this planet. Mother Earth is crying out. She's crying out. Peace in Mexico. Peace in the Caribbean. Peace in the United States. Peace all over the world that are experiencing the ravages of hurricanes, fires here in California, earthquakes. We will do better. We were charged to bless and to keep the garden. And just like we can turn around our lives, we can turn this stuff around with the planet. It's not too late. It's not too late. So in this moment right now, I pray the prayer of restoration and redemption. Knowing that you, God, you're like, you receive us back. You're like a big old compost pile. You just take all our crap and turn it into fertilizer for the new growth. So we lay it all at the altar. Everything. All the hurts, all the pains, all the trespasses against us, all the trespasses that we've done, the ways that we've gotten off. Sin is literally missing the mark. And we come back. We come back. And we accept our wholeness. We accept the forgiveness. We accept the peace. We live the love. We live the joy. And regardless of where anybody is on the planet or what's going on in their lives, catch this wave. We give it freely. In God, there's no male or female or Jew or Gentile. It's just one. There's just the one. Bless us, God. Just like you forgive us, for we know not what we do. Bless us, for we know not what we do. We don't even know the lives that we have touched. Help it multiply and grow. We humbly, in the name of all that is holy, we pray. Bless this spiritual community, that we may be about the work that you have ordained us to do. And I say a special prayer now for my brother Arnulfo Garcia, the prodigal in whom you have brought home to teach the rest of us. May his path be clear, his third eye open, his heart full of courage. And may he fulfill the great purpose for which you have brought him to this planet. Redeem it all. Oh, it's good. It's done. We get out of the way, we allow it to be, and so it is. Amen and amen.